Happy New Year! Look who's back.
Hi, everybody.
For any of you who don't know who this guy is, this is my son Max. He did a few videos with me this year, and we are bringing him back by popular demand. So many people have told me how much they love my videos with you, and so we are doing this video together. We're going to be talking about New Year's rituals instead of New Year's resolutions. In my experience, New Year's resolutions tend to not work. People make these big commitments to lose weight, to find love, to change a career, whatever it is, to go to the gym every day and do all these to change the way they eat, lose 20 pounds.
Yeah, all like just doable things that we're totally going to keep
Right.
to.
So these are big commitments and they don't work because they are not the kind of goals that we actually keep, and they're too big. They're not always really reasonable. And so instead, I love this New Year's ritual. It is something that we can all do, and I am going to share it with you, and Max is going to share some of his thoughts with all of you. So the first thing is to make 3 lists. So if you can grab a piece of paper, and this is probably going to take a little time, but you want to grab a piece of paper. The first list is everything that you want to leave behind this year in 2021. So in this list, you're going to list any people you don't want to take with you, experiences, anything that you have that was a disappointment, some mistakes that you might have made in a date or a relationship that didn't work out, or maybe it was saying yes to things that you didn't want to do, but people asked you for favors and you felt like you wasted time. And you're going to take that list and then narrow it down to the things that are really the biggest things that you did that you don't want to take with you, and create a not to do list. So this is a list of things you will not repeat in the coming year, and then put it somewhere where you're going to see it so that you remind yourself the next time that you're going to say yes to that favor that you didn't want to say yes to, not to do, and you won't do it again. So Max, you want to share some of the things that you're going to not do in the coming year?
Yeah, I'll take a minute because that was a lot of information.
It was.
Yeah, I think we were just talking about this before, but people pleasing, that's something that I always used to do a lot in my teens and my 20s. I'm 30 now, and I tell my friends this a lot, but every time I feel myself saying or feeling like I want to say yes to something that I really don't want to, I take a minute and I play it through in my head, and it's like, how will this play out? Is it something that's in alignment with my current self, like my present self? Is it going to make me, if I do this thing, am I going to look back and go, I wish I didn't do that? And if it's any of those things, if it's a negative at all, if I can in the moment, because we all slip up, but I will rework the answer. Maybe I can make a compromise, or maybe I say no entirely, because it's not all black and white. So for me, I mean, people pleasing is a big thing that I need to work on to not do, because I think I'll have more energy for the things that I really want to choose to do. And the people and opportunities that I say yes to will be more meaningful to me, I think.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
I definitely want to work on that for the coming year too, even though I've come so far in learning to say no. I occasionally will slip up. And for me, it's also about not being accountable to myself. Like if I've said, this is what will make me happy, or this is how I know I function best, and then I betray my own needs thinking, well, I'll give this person a chance, even though in my gut, I know that's a bad idea. It always comes back to bite me. So I am committing for next year to really stick to my word and not renege on my no and say yes, which is a form of people pleasing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another thing too. It's making more time for the stuff that you want to do. I just moved out on my own, and at my apartment, it's basically I'm in control and in charge of my life and my schedule now. And I mean, I've been for the last couple of years, but it's really, there's a magnifying glass on it, and I could just laze around all day, especially with COVID time. Most people are working from home, and it's easy to just, laze around sometimes, or, it can be a negative thing too. You really can get depressed this time of year. I definitely suffer from, wouldn't say depression all the time, but it's easy, especially with there's not so much sunlight. You really have to get out there and make, healthier or healthy routines. Just choose things that, like you were saying before, that your future self will thank you for. And again, it's not easy to do this all the time. Nobody is perfect, and nobody can do all of this all the time, but it's just having that awareness moving forward, like take that second and go, will I be cool with this in a couple minutes? Will I be cool with this in a day, et cetera. So I think just having that internal awareness and having a new movie playing in your head, basically going, oh, the last time Sandy or Max did this is what happened, with that Ron Howard voice from Arrested Development. And, just making better choices for future you, like setting yourself up for success. I think that's a beautiful thing that we all can strive for. I certainly will. I think
you're getting ahead of the list.
Yeah.
Because I got a list for that. But yeah, I totally agree. And I just thought of an example that just happened recently. I was going to meet a friend in Manhattan during Christmas week. And we have this annual tradition. We always meet that week because she has off of work and I have a very light schedule. And we go to see the Christmas windows in all the stores, which are really magical, and we have lunch out. And all of a sudden, COVID got worse, and I just pictured myself in this crowded number one public transportation, because I wouldn't want to drive into Manhattan, so I'd be putting myself at risk. Then I pictured myself standing in front of these windows, which is another crowd, and even if you're wearing a mask. And then where are we going to eat? Because sitting inside a restaurant during this high time of COVID is a risk. And I told her I was not going to do it. And she said, well, I have so many antibodies and I've had COVID and I'm triple vaxxed and I'm really cool, but that's okay. And so we made alternate plans. And so, when it comes to going to an event, going to a party, going on a date, just think about, how are you going to feel when you're there? Do you need to limit the time you spend? Those are all things that we really want to pay attention to as we go into the new year.
I want to add something to that too. The fact that you have friends, like you've chosen friends that will be okay if you tell them no. So I think that's a really important thing for you if you're watching this and you have people in your life that give you a hard time or push back when you set boundaries or limits with them that are in your best interest, because you want to have supportive people on your team, friends and family, and as you are the architect for your life. So it's basically, you have done a good job with that, and it's a safe space. So it's like, that's another thing. I think maybe it's time to take a look through your friend list and see who's really in your corner and who is just kind of tagged along throughout the years and is really bringing you down. Because at the end of the day, you want light in your life. You want things to be positive if you can, or supportive for when things get hard or difficult, like so many of us are going through right now. So that's what I think.
No, thank you for that. And it's a really important point. And it took me a long time to get here. I definitely had friends that I didn't feel safe telling them the truth because I was afraid of their reaction. And my friend list right now is small, but it's really special. Yeah. I think, you want to keep that VIP list very small.
I like that, VIP.
And so there's like many circles of friendship. The ones who are really at the center of the VIP list, those are the ones who you open up to more, you spend more time with, you tell them your deepest, darkest secrets and fears, and you're able to tell them when your feelings are hurt, and you're not afraid that the relationship's going to end because you spoke up. So list number 2, that was list number 1. Those are all the things you're not taking with you. List number 2 is what you are proud of that happened this year. List everything that you learned what friendships you made or let go of. Those are also big accomplishments. If you've overcome a fear or you're celebrating that you did something differently, how did you show up more authentically? And so create a list of everything that you're celebrating from this year. So Max, what are you
Yes.
celebrating?
A lot of things, but I was telling you before, I interviewed for a new job today. And in the past, I mean, interviews over the phone, in person, it can be really nerve wracking. I definitely suffer from anxiety sometimes, overthinking. And, before I get in the phone, my heart's beating a million miles a minute. I'm thinking, first the negative sabotage stuff. How am I going to fail? What am I going to get caught on? And all that stuff is not supportive. So 100%, you have to be in your own corner. You have to be rooting for yourself. That's like, number one. But what I did today, which I was really proud of, is I had interviewed for this company a couple times before, and for whatever reason, it didn't work out. But I always felt out of alignment when I was asked questions that just seemed kind of robotic. I love connecting deeply with people. And as I'm getting older, I realized that unless I advocate for the things that I want, no one's going to be able to read my mind. So right away, I was creating rapport with the interviewer, and I just kind of was like, I love this energy that we have right now where we're just kind of back and forth, because, she was really opening up a lot about what she loved in the company. And I wanted to keep that going versus the tell me the time when you yada yada. And so she laughed when I was like, let's just keep it casual. And it made the interview so much better because I spoke up. And I was like, this would be great for me if we could just keep doing this. I feel like you're going to get to know me better. I'll get to know you better. I kind of interviewed her, which I tend to do with everyone because I'm just curious about people and their stories. But you have to speak up and be okay. I mean, we do this when we're kids. It's like you're just curious about life and about people. Oh, that's a cool color. I like your shirt. I like your jacket. Those are nice boots. I love the way you did your makeup. The list goes on. And when we become adults, for some reason, we just kind of hide that part of ourselves because it's safer, I think. And I think it's really something that I really want to do is bring out that inner child with the curiosity this year and really step into that more, because I think the world kind of opens up when you don't limit yourself and you don't project the negative ideas that have kept you safe in your 20s, your 30s, or 40s, whatever age you are. It's just, you need to be curious again. You need to be excited about the world. You don't have to do anything. I'm choosing to do this. How do you feel about that?
I love curiosity. I talk about it all the time. I think it is such a great thing to remind people of, because I can't tell you how many coaching sessions, pretty much every coaching session, when I hear a woman say, I thought this on the date. And then I say, well, did you say anything? Did you ask a question? Did you get curious about it? And often we form quick assumptions about people because we're not getting curious.
That non-judgment is so important in living a stress-reduced life and anxiety-reduced, because you're not projecting, oh, I should be just, pink hair. No, they're not serious. Tattoos, They're not serious. This person. And, who wants to be serious all the time? It's more fun to be, whimsical. I mean, that's, you know that more than anyone.
Yeah.
So it's just so important. We got to be a little bit sillier, but also speak our truth and really be confident and be our own cheerleader, like our own support system, and get help from friends and family, but really believe in yourself and your voice, knowing that you matter and that you can ask for things. And if someone doesn't respect them, I mean, that's an answer right there. Don't let yourself feel shamed by yourself or other people. I mean, life is too short for that, I think.
Yeah. First of all, I got to travel again, and I went to see two of my daughters. I went back to Israel for the first time in a year and a half, and that was amazing that I got to spend a month with my family in Israel, my grandchildren and my daughter and her husband. And I went to California to visit my other daughter in November and December. And so we traveled all over, and I got to meet some of you, my clients, my Facebook group members, my podcast guests. I mean, that was really special. And so I've been doing Zoom since Zoom was invented, pretty much, like probably the last 10 years or so.
Real.
And so COVID didn't change that much for me in terms of the fact that I see clients on Zoom and don't get to meet most of them. So it was really special that I made the effort and they made the effort to see me. And so I'm really celebrating that. There is no substitute for in person, being able to give someone a hug and see what they look like, not just their head and neck and torso, but their whole body. And so that was really special. And travel always opens you up. I dated while I was traveling. I got to see amazing things, and nature is so beautiful. And so getting out of your comfort zone and your routine, I think COVID got a lot of us kind of stuck in the same old Groundhog Day feeling, where we got up, we walked down the hall, went on Zoom, made sourdough bread, whatever we did, and, just kind of holed up, hoping not to get sick. And now this year we got to do some things out in the world. So I'm celebrating that, and the fact that you moved out, that was a big deal. And so a lot of adjustments for everybody, and all good, sprouting wings, and a lot of change, and change is good. And we have one more list we want you to make. List number 3 is what you want to create next year in 2022. So think about all the parts of your life. What do you want to create? How do you want it to look and feel? And create that list. So take some ideas from the things that you were really celebrating this past year, the things you want to take with you. And for extra accountability, I want to challenge you to take some of those ideas and put them in your calendar. Let's say you want to travel more, put it in your calendar. Pick a date. Even if you change it, at least you're making it real, because we can say, oh, I'm going to do this next year, and then it never happens. You get back in your routine. So make that list and then make it happen.
And I would also say to that, like we were talking about end goals today, and I think this is where a lot of people get tripped up with New Year's, especially because this is like, the time of year where people are making these kind of unrealistic and really unattainable goals. And for me, what's worked and what always works is that you make a goal, make an end goal, but also know that the journey is probably the most important part of all of this, that you're going to be learning these incredible lessons along the way. And that's what's the real value. So it's, even if you don't see an extreme change in a month or 2 months or even a year, just the fact that you're on the path of trying to make your life better for yourself is such a huge victory. And, not a lot of people can say that. I do art, I make music, and amongst a ton of other things. But with all of these projects, they're huge undertakings if you want to record and release an album. And I play all the instruments and, mix everything myself, just because that's what I've always been comfortable with. But you start it because it's a passion, and then you have to show up at the studio every day. You have to, show up and practice your instrument, and it doesn't need to be regimented, but you have to do a little bit every day. And I've been in a bit of a creative block musically, but I'm trying to learn a new style of guitar every day. Or if you like Dire Straits, I love that band. So I'm trying to play guitar like Mark Knopfler, the lead guitarist, and I learned one riff that he did. And if I can just get that one riff, I'm closer to the goal of being a better musician than I was yesterday, even though I didn't learn the entire album. Or with art, I just released over October, I put out a coloring book on Amazon. And I love all these little subtle plugs, but it's called Spooky Symmetry if you want to look it up. But that took a lot of time, and I faced a lot of challenges. I had to learn how to do Photoshop in basically 2 nights because I just tried. So you have to just try every day one new little thing. And when you look back at the end of the year, next year, even if you haven't gotten the goal that you thought you were going to get, you've done so many incredible new things that will, root into other things or split out into other things that you didn't plan, because it's not always going to go the way you want. But I think it's a really beautiful thing that you're just on the journey, keeping yourself as present as you can, and just try every day. Just get up and do one thing different than yesterday, and you'll see at the end of it all, you've done incredible things.
That's such good advice.
Yeah.
And Max and I talk a lot about the journey being the most important part. So whether it's your dating life or you're creating a project or you're going out for a new job, whatever it is, doing those small little movements every single day to go towards a goal and not being so set on what that goal looks like. So let's say you want to find love, but it might show up in ways that you never expected, but every day you're making an effort. You're going on dating apps, you're having new pictures taken for your online dating, you're asking friends for a setup, you're doing things differently, and it will lead to a better outcome than you ever believed because,
Totally.
and you have just being open to the magic of how it shows up. So happy New Year. I hope that you take away some great tips from this video. Please let us know what your takeaways are and whether you're going to create your 3 lists and share them with us. Share them in the comments. We would love to see what you're taking away and what you're creating in the new year for 2022. Thank you for being part of my community, for listening to videos and podcasts and being part of my Facebook group and my newsletter list and just supporting, being a client, however we're connected. Thank you. And thank you, Max, for joining me.
Thank you guys for letting
videos.
me come and talk to you all.
Let us know if you want to hear more from Max. He's got a lot of wisdom to share. We could even do a Max only video.
Oh, maybe.
Oh. Anyway, happy, healthy
Stay safe,
New
everybody.
Year. Stay safe.
Happy New Year.